Morning, Brady.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you.
Good morning, Margaret. Long time no see. Lou.
Good morning.
Hi, everybody.
Hi
Hi.
there.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing? Hope everyone is well.
Good.
Good.
This hearing is going to be a little different in that we're not going to have a court reporter. We're going to have an audio transcript. So, Isaac, I guess we'll just at a certain point I'll just say, just like I will with the court reporter, that we're going to go on the record and then you begin recording. Is that how this will work, Isaac?
Yeah, well, whenever you want to go on the record, I'll start the recording. I'll make a statement that I've started the audio transcript, and then you'll just proceed like normal.
Okay. That sounds easy. All right.
Are we the ones testing out the new system? Have you tried this before yet?
I have not. Isaac, have you tried this with any other hearings?
Yeah, we have for a couple of those revocation hearings.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see.
Mr. Hearing Examiner, are we going to have a robot give the oath to the witnesses?
We're going to have a notary named Isaac. He will be giving the oath. He will be administering the oath. He's qualified to do so. He's qualified to do so, or so he tells me. I just want to open it up.
I believe you. I trust you. I was just hoping we'd have a robot. Darn it.
What from the future? Okay. Sorry, just bear with me. I'm just looking for a particular email here. Okay. Oh, I know what it is.
Brady, it's nice to have a face with a name.
Yeah, same to you. That's the great thing about Zoom.
Yeah.
I was at the open meeting yesterday in person. It was good to see people that I've just been watching on screens for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting, huh? When you see people for the first time, though you've seen them on the Zoom for a while.
I was trying to get out and ended up just getting stuck in a conversation with John Reynolds for like 10 more minutes. I think people miss face-to-face communication.
Oh
Yeah.
Okay. I'm ready to go on the record if everyone else is. I don't hear any objections. So, Isaac, let's go on the record. I guess you make your statement first. Is that right?
Yep. This is an audio transcript of a hearing in New Mexico Public Regulation Commission docket number 21-00228-UT in the matter of the verified petition of Oso Internet Solutions, LLC for designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier. Today is March 31st, 2022. The time is 10:03 a.m. For the record, this transcript is being made by Isaac Sullivan-Leshen. I am a law clerk in the Public Regulation Commission's Office of General Counsel, and as a notary public, I am a person authorized to administer oaths. We are now on the record.
Thank you, Isaac. I'll just introduce myself for the record. I am the hearing examiner, Russell Fisk, and I guess we'll go around and have people introduce themselves. I guess I'm just trying to think if that's something we only do for a court reporter, but I guess it makes sense just to take note of everybody who's here. So let's begin with counsel for Osun.
Good morning, Mr. Examiner. Keith Herman with Stelzner, Winter, Warburton, Flores, and Dawes on behalf of Oso Internet Solutions, LLC. Also with me today are the co-owners, Margaret Merrill and Louis Utaro.
Thank you. Let's go to counsel for staff and witness for staff. Beginning with counsel.
Good morning, Mr. Hearing Examiner John Bagacco for the Telecom Bureau of the New Mexico Public Regulation Commission, and I'm accompanied by our sole witness in this proceeding today, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, Mr. Hearing Examiner and everyone else. My name is Brady Tollefson, and I am an economist for the Telecom Bureau.
All right, excellent. It looks like we have Michael Ripperger, our chief of the Telecom Bureau here, possibly just listening in. Hello, Mike. But Mike will not be testifying. You're muted, but that's okay, Mike. I was just noting that you're here. Okay, so that's everyone. And I'll just quickly review. We're going to be proceeding as we do in most ETC, in most expedited ETC designation matters. I'm just going to review that from the email order to which the parties agreed with regard to the procedures for this hearing. Opening and closing statements have been waived by the parties. So we'll begin the testimony first with the petitioner, Oso's witnesses, and then staff's witness. The order of examination will be direct examination, followed by cross, followed by redirect. I usually don't ask any questions. We have marked exhibits that have already been provided by the deadline, which was yesterday, 2 p.m. I think I'll just leave it at that. I don't think there's anything else, we can just proceed. Mr. Herman with Oso's case.
Yes, Mr. Examiner, as a preliminary matter, a moment ago, I circulated a corrected version of Margaret Merrill's rebuttal testimony. We'll be running through those corrections under direct examination, but I just wanted to note that that should be in your email box.
Yes, I did receive that. Thank you.
With that, I will call our first witness, Miss Margaret Merrill.
Isaac, can you swear in Ms. Merrill?
Yes, Ms. Merrill, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
She is sworn in, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
All right, Mr. Herman, you may begin your direct examination of the witness.
Good morning, Miss Merrill.
Good morning.
Excuse me. Would you please state your name and place of employment?
Margaret Merrill, Oso Internet Solutions.
And just so I'm clear, Isaac, are we having any audio or recording issues right now?
No, I can hear everyone loud and clear.
Okay.
Miss Merrill, back to our direct examination. Do you have in front of you what's been labeled OIS Exhibit 1?
I do.
Can you please identify that exhibit?
Identify, I'm not sure what you mean.
The title of the exhibit. Is that your direct testimony?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you have any additions or corrections to OIS Exhibit 1?
No, I do not.
Was it prepared by you or under your direction?
Yes.
If I asked you those questions, those same questions today, would your answers remain the same?
Yes, they would.
With that, Mr. Examiner, I'll move to admit OIS Exhibit 1.
Are there any objections to the motion to admit the Exhibit 1?
No objection, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Thank you.
OIS, as OIS Exhibit 1 is admitted. It's evidence.
Yes, OIS is in Oso Internet Solutions. All right, Ms. Merrill, do you have OIS Exhibit 2 in front of you?
I do.
And was this prepared by you or under your direction?
Yes, it was.
And do you have any corrections or additions to this testimony?
I do.
Can we run through those in order?
Absolutely. On the table of contents, on staff issue 6, please strike -NM. Same comment on page 13, line 9, where the header actually appears. On the header, starting at page 1 and every page thereafter, strike direct. It should be rebuttal. On page 2, line 7, 188 should be 232 as stated elsewhere in the testimony. On page 4, line 15, after 21-00229-UT, insert please updated to reflect 2021 data. On page 8, line 20, prove should be provide. Those are all the changes.
So with those corrections, if I asked you those questions again today, would your answers remain the same?
Yes.
With that, I will move to admit OIS Exhibit 2.
And just to clarify, Mr. Herman, this is the corrected version that you sent today, which is identical to the Exhibit 2 that was sent yesterday, except for the track changes, the red line, the red corrections. Is that correct?
That is correct. And that notes all the corrections Ms. Merrill just identified.
All right. Are there any objections to admitting Exhibit 2?
No objection to admission of Exhibit 2. Thank you.
As corrected. Okay. So Exhibit 2 as corrected is admitted into evidence.
With that, I will offer Ms. Merrill for cross-examination.
Gatko, do you have any cross-examination of the witness?
I do have a few questions for Ms. Merrill, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ms. Merrill, looking at your corrected OIS Exhibit 2, which is the rebuttal testimony filed in this case, I direct your attention to page 2, line 7. Are you there, Ms. Merrill?
Yes, and this is the rebuttal testimony.
That is correct.
Okay.
And I see that we just corrected there on line 7. The number that was
Yes.
there before was 188, and it's been corrected to 232. Can you give us some background on the genesis of that correction?
Absolutely. When we began this process, we had 188 tribal ACP participants. The participants have been coming in at approximately 1 a day, most likely, 3 to 4 a week. And so that number had changed while we were in this process. And it is stated correctly later in this rebuttal, but I did not catch that first number being incorrect until I went back through everything prior to this hearing. And I wanted it to reflect the correct numbers.
Thank you for that clarification. So is it fair to characterize the increase in participation since inception of this case as a good development for Oso?
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. And as I said, I only have a few questions for you. I'm going to direct your attention now to page 14 of your rebuttal, OIS Exhibit 2, and I'll give you a moment to flip there.
Thank you. Okay, I'm on page 14.
Well, thank you for that. I'm interested there on page 14, lines 6 through 9. The question posed reads, is OIS still intending to provide a telecommunication voice-only service starting at $24.99 per month? And your answer is, those plans are currently still being negotiated and no plans have been finalized. Upon completion, OIS intends to update its tariff accordingly. Did I read your answer correctly?
Yes, you did.
You talk about still being negotiated. Who is it that you're conducting these negotiations with?
We are talking with Sacred Wind Communications. Our feeling is that Sacred Wind serves a similar clientele and successfully. And with this, we wanted to talk with someone who would give us advice and make available to us technology that they feel would be the best fit for our customers. So it is Sacred Wind that we're talking to.
Thank you. And there at the tail end of your sentence there on line 8, page 14 of your rebuttal, you talk about the situation where no plans have been finalized. Do you have an ETA or an estimated time of completion when the plans will be finalized?
We wanted to first complete our ETC status so that we were qualified to be able to move forward purposefully with these plans. My expectation is within the next 2 to 3 months, we will have completed planning and any contracting. And at that point, we'll be rolling out the Lifeline program.
And then dovetailing off of that, there on line 9, page 14 of your rebuttal, you talk about how upon completion, OIS intends to update its tariff accordingly. What exactly do you have in mind when you talk about updating the tariff accordingly? What sort of information are you going to provide the commission when you do that upon completion of the negotiations with Sacred Wind?
Our intention is to continue to offer the service at $24.99 per month. So we don't intend to change anything on the customer side. And I'm thinking that that's the tariff that we're referring to here. I think that language was just included so that as we become familiar with and create our plan, that if there are any changes, those changes will be updated with the commission.
And I take it then those updates and the additional information will be provided in conformance with the commission's rules and customs. Am I safe in that assumption?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And then finally, same page 14 of your rebuttal, they're down on lines 11 through 16. Starting at line 11, the question posed is, does OIS's advertising account for any Spanish-speaking population in their proposed service area? And your answer is, we have not received any requests for company documents in Spanish. As stated above, we do outreach for Navajo, Dene speaking customers and have translation partnerships in place to serve these people. We would be happy to make similar equivalent outreach to any Spanish speaking customers. Did I read your answer to that question accurately?
Absolutely.
Is it possible as a condition of having your application in this case granted to just go ahead and provide your advertising and your outreach in Spanish, just as a matter of course? Is that something that you could commit to?
Absolutely.
Well, it doesn't sound like you have any qualms about that, and I thank you for that. And with that, Mr. Hearing Examiner, I would conclude my cross-examination of Ms. Merrill with my thanks to her and the applicant for providing this information in this case. I would pass the witness. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions. Mr. Herman, do you have any redirect?
Just one brief question. Regarding Mr. Bugako's question about your negotiations with Sacred Wind, Ms. Merrill, did Sacred Wind also provide a letter of support in this case?
Yes, they have. Sacred Wind has been very generous with us with providing technical and business support.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. So Ms. Merrill, it's possible there'll be more questions for you later, but it's probably unlikely. So if you can just stick around, that'd be great. But you're off of the virtual stand at this point. Thank you. And Mr. Herman, would you like to call your next witness?
Yes, OIS calls Mr. Louis Utaro.
Mr. Utaro, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Mr. Hearing Examiner, he is sworn in.
I should stop muting myself. Excellent. Okay, Mr. Herman, you may proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Utaro. Could you please
Morning.
state your name and title for the record?
Louis Utaro, co-owner of Oso Internet Solutions, member manager of the organization.
Do you have in front of you what's been labeled OIS Exhibit 3?
I do.
Could you please identify that?
It is the direct testimony of Louis Utaro, February 27th, 2022.
And was that prepared by you or under your direction?
Yes, it was.
Do you have any additions or corrections you would like to note?
No.
If I asked you those questions again today, would your answers remain the same?
Yes, they would.
Thank you. With that, I move to admit OIS Exhibit 3.
Are there any objections to the admission of OAS Exhibit 3?
No objection. Thank you.
Excellent. OAS Exhibit 3 is admitted into evidence.
Mr. Utaro, do you have what's been labeled OIS Exhibit 4 in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Could you please identify that?
It is the rebuttal testimony of Louis Utaro, March 24th, 2022.
Was that prepared by you or under your direction?
Yes, it was.
Do you have any additions or corrections you would like to note?
No.
If I ask you those questions again today, would your answers remain the same?
Yes, they would.
With that, I move to admit OIS Exhibit 4.
Are there any objections to the admission of OAS Exhibit 4?
No objection, Mr. Hearing Examiner. Thank you.
OAS Exhibit 4 is admitted into evidence.
That concludes my direct examination. I will offer Mr. Utaro for cross-examination.
Mr. Bagacco, do you have any cross?
I do not have any cross for Mr. Utaro, but I thank him for his attendance and the preparation of his written testimony in this case.
Thank
I have
you.
no question. Oh, okay. I have no questions either. Thank you, Mr. Utaro and Ms. Merrill, for being present. Is that the conclusion of your case, Mr. Herman?
Yes.
So we can proceed now to staff's responsive case. Mr. Bagacco, you have a witness, I believe, that you will call.
Yes, I do, Mr. Hearing Examiner. I would call Brady L. Tollison to the stand, please.
Mr. Tollison, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
He is sworn in, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
Mr. Bagacco, you may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Tollison. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you. I think you filed some direct testimony in this case on or about March 10th, 2022. Does that meet with your recollection?
That is correct.
And you have a copy of that pre-filed direct testimony in front of you, don't you?
I do.
And that direct testimony has been provisionally marked down there on the right-hand lower corner on page 1 as Staff Exhibit 1. Is that correct?
Correct.
And this is the same Staff Exhibit 1 that was circulated by email yesterday to all the parties in the case. Is that correct as far as you can discern?
Yes, that is correct.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Tolleson, if you would, just take a moment and flip through what I've provisionally marked as Staff Exhibit 1, and please make sure that it is a complete and accurate rendition of what you caused to be filed in this case on March 10th, 2022.
I can confirm that this is the testimony that I provided.
Thank you, Mr. Tolleson. And it's my understanding that you do not have any corrections to make to what's been provisionally marked as Staff Exhibit 1. Is that correct?
That is correct. No corrections needed.
Thank you. And Mr. Tolleson, if you were asked the same questions today as we see posed there in Staff Exhibit 1, would your answers to those questions be the same as what you did in your pre-filed testimony, or would they be different now?
They would be the same.
Thank you for that. Well, with that, Mr. Hearing Examiner, I would move for admission into the evidentiary record the direct testimony of Brady L. Tolleson that I provisionally marked as Staff Exhibit 1.
Are there any objections to the admission of Staff Exhibit 1?
No objections.
Staff Exhibit 1, the direct testimony of Brady Tolleson, is admitted into evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Hearing Examiner. And with that, I would tender Mr. Tolleson for cross-examination.
Mr. Herman, do you have any cross?
Yes, some limited cross-examination.
Please proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Tolleson.
Good morning.
Just to recap the summary of your direct testimony, you do recommend approval for this ETC application, correct?
I do. I do, as long as OIS is able to fulfill those commitments that we have addressed earlier, including the Spanish advertisements.
And have you had a chance to review the rebuttal testimonies of OIS?
I have.
Do you believe that those rebuttal testimonies sufficiently addressed your concerns or comments?
I do. I do feel that they have sufficiently fulfilled everything.
And do you still recommend approval of the ETC application?
Yes, I do.
That concludes my cross-examination.
Mr. Biacco, do you have any redirect?
Mr. Hearing Examiner, no redirect necessary in this instance. Thank you for asking, though.
I have one question. I just want to make sure I'm clear. Mr. Tolleson, staff is satisfied with and does not oppose the petition with the conditions. I think you mentioned plural conditions that were mentioned today. I did hear the condition about the Spanish translation. Was there another condition mentioned today, or are you referring to something in the record?
I apologize, Mr. Hearing Examiner. I'm referring to the updating of the tariff after the implementation of the 24.99 voice only.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. That was my only question. That's clarified for me. Mr. Biacco, you have no more witnesses. Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Hearing Examiner.
Mike is just listening in. So, okay, well, with that, the evidentiary portion of the hearing is concluded. The closing statements have been waived. I'm just going to go ahead and say I plan to issue a recommended decision that will approve the petition with the conditions to which the staff included as part of their non-opposition, and to which Oso has agreed. I don't plan on doing any particularly expedited manner because unless there's a special request to shorten the period for exceptions or anything like that, Mr. Herman, otherwise I was just going to bring it within two or 3 weeks before the commission. I'll issue the RD soon. And then I was going to leave the regular 13 days for exceptions, even though exceptions are unlikely, just because there doesn't seem to me to be any particular urgency. But if there is, I have no problem issuing an order shortening the time for exceptions just to, get us on the agenda sooner.
Mr. Examiner, our only concern is that OIS may be preparing some applications for SRUSF projects, but our understanding was that as these applications are required to be reviewed on an expedited basis, having the pending application wouldn't prevent us from applying.
That's correct. You could apply. Also could apply without yet having the ETC designation. So that will be okay. Okay, I'll try to get done, put on the agenda fairly quickly. It's funny, Mr. Herman, when you mentioned that, that has really snuck up on me. This next week is April. So yes, we will be opening that docket. I'm glad that you reminded me of that. I've been so buried in community solar up until yesterday that I wasn't thinking much about broadband, but you're right. That needs to be open next week. Excellent. So that's it. That's all that I have to say. And I guess if no one else has anything to say, there are no closing statements. So I will conclude the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Thank
for
you
all
all.
your-
Thank you all.
Mr. Herman, thank you especially for reminding me that I have to open that docket next week. I can't believe it's already April. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.